there's like something like, I mean, there's several thousand franchise concepts out there. There's like probably over over 3,000 for sure different franchise concepts. I mean, it's amazing when you start looking. Like before we went on today, I was just thinking about when I drive out my street and I go onto the main street. Everywhere you look is a franchise, right? I have Raising Cane's, I have Jimmy John's, I have Subway, I have like literally there's like 30 within like a half a mile radius from where I am, if not more. I mean, it's just crazy, and I never thought about it. But what can you walk us through like I think we want to kind of open people's minds to like different concepts that are out there, like things that people might not think are franchises, like for example, like Bill is an internet marketing guy. There's internet marketing franchise concepts that are for like, building a huge company. They have all back service stuff. I mean, there's just all these different concepts. I think it'd be interesting to talk about that. But before we talk about that, would you give us like a kind of a client you've worked with, and it was one that was like a huge success, and like, where they were able to grow maybe to multi-franchise, like a good story, and then maybe tell us a story of a concept that didn't work out because it wasn't a good fit for them, because they didn't really go the way they should have went, because they weren't really listening to good advice. Can you kind of give us a success and a failure?
A failure. So it's very hard for me to actually think of a client that I didn't match, that didn't listen to me. Because usually when they don't listen to you, they just go somewhere else. So I can think of one situation, and I don't think it wasn't related to the fact that he wasn't a good fit. I think he was a good fit for him. The problem was he was transitioning from corporate America, and he loved fitness, really, really loved fitness, but he wasn't capitalized enough to be able to get into the brick and mortar space. And that is something is very important to talk about, because people think, oh, it has to be a brick and mortar for me to be profitable, or it has to be brick and mortar because I'll need to see that storefront, that flashy storefront. But in reality, you really need to be asking yourself if you are financially prepared. There's nothing wrong with brick and mortar. In fact, there are a lot of very good franchises. From an investment perspective, I'll tell you, and I'll be very honest with you, if you're looking for the quickest ROI, if you're looking to compare the margins on a brick and mortar versus a home base or a service base, I can guarantee you the service base is going to be much more profitable and significantly cheaper to get in. But if you don't like the business, if you're not willing to put in the work, if it's not something that you just connect with, then it may not be a good fit for you. So, there are, med spas right now, health and wellness, that's an industry that's blowing up. It's doing really well. So I do have a lot of clients who are doing very well in the med spa space, and that's a brick and mortar type of opportunity. So this guy ended up investing in a fitness brand, but what happened was he ended up rolling over his 401k and getting an SBA loan. So he had a heavy load, and he didn't really have a lot of savings for working capital. And I was not aware of it. And I made sure I explained this to him. You're taking on a very heavy load. You're going to have a high payment on SBA. You are literally taking out all of your savings, which are in your 401k. So you really have to make sure that you have enough to ramp up. And he did, according to him, he did, but then COVID hit. And it was a matter of months. So he opened, I went to his grand opening. He was very happy. And then 4 months later, COVID hit and it completely wiped him. He didn't have enough to keep going and he had to close. So that was probably the only story that I have, and I've sold hundreds of franchises, that I can tell that one really hurt me, because you never want to hear that. But on the other hand, I have a lot of success stories of people who started with me and they had no idea what they wanted to do. So the most recent one was a guy who was 28 years old. He was in finance. So he was working at a bank, but he just was working really long hours and not very happy with what he was doing. Very good at managing people, very good with people in general. So you could tell that he could do something really well. So we ended up looking at a lot of different opportunities. He was very passionate about the automotive industry. So that was kind of surprising because initially he really wanted to look at window tinting and car repair, and but then we started looking at the numbers, and it was actually going to be very expensive to get into something like that. It was going to be almost $400,000 for one location, and it was going to require a lot of employees and a lot of equipment. So I decided to show him a service-based model, which is actually an insulation type of franchise. And the reason why I showed it to him is because it's low number of employees, it's a fraction of the investment, it would allow him to grow much faster. He's a young guy, he's full of drive. So he actually ended up buying 3 territories. And what that means is you always start with one, and then you grow into the second and the third, but it gives you a bigger opportunity for you to grow. So he ended up spending the same amount of money for one franchise, and he tripled that. So he essentially is going to triple his income because he's now finding a much bigger opportunity for him that had better numbers, lower overhead, and essentially a service that is needed. It's a service that's not going away. The franchise has a call center. So the call center is really nice because most businesses don't have that. So what the call center is doing is they're running your marketing, they're taking your leads, and they're booking appointments for you. So you don't really need to chase clients. And that's kind of the beauty of a lot of these franchises, that you don't have to do any of the lead generation components. So that was very attractive to him as well.
Are you trying to escape the W-2 rat race? Or have you always wanted to own your own business? Have you ever thought about owning a franchise? If so, FranUniversity.com can help. Our training program teaches you everything you need to know about franchise ownership, from choosing the right franchise to launching and running your business. We have the resources and specialists to help you from A to Z. You'll gain the skills and knowledge you need to succeed as a franchise owner. The best part? It's free to join. Go to FranUniversity.com.
Hey guys, Beau Exian here. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. We talk all things financing. I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, and I'm happy to answer your questions and provide great content.